Hello, today my question is, should vicars or priests protest? It's a valid question, as this time in our history has been called the golden age of protest. And certainly there have been a lot of demonstrations recently, haven't there? We've had Black Lives Matter demonstrations, Greta Thunberg and the school strike movement, and Extinction Rebellion protests have brought roads to a standstill in London. Now, one priest, Father Martin Newell, recently interviewed in the Church Times, and yet that's the weekly newspaper for priests. He said he'd been particularly struck by a poster in his Christian Union as a student, which said if you were arrested for being a Christian, would there be enough evidence to convict you? There's a question. He also makes a very good point that in the past, if you wanted to be a peaceful, conscientious objector, you could physically choose not to join the military. But these days, we have to oppose in different ways. Now, I'm certainly passionate about the climate crisis, but my protests are more along the lines of lobbying MPs, signing petitions, discussing it on my social media platform, trying to live by example, although hands up, I feel. And I am holding a special Climate Sunday in my local church in September to think a bit about changes and commit to changes we can make in our church community that would be environmentally friendly. And this is in advance of the UN Climate Change Conference, you know, the COP26 in Glasgow in October. I do hope it's not a cop out and the world leaders actually do make some tough decisions to reduce our emissions and carbon output. But what about really protesting? Causing disruption to others in the name of what's right? Risking arrest even? Certainly bringing airports to a standstill and causing tube disruption affects people locally. And it can affect the very people you want to get on board. I mean, if you don't have a car and you're reliant on public transport, which is more environmentally beneficial anyway, why would you support those people who are stopping you getting to work, hospitals or loved ones? But the flip side of that, I suppose, is that there's disruption going on everywhere. And the carelessness with which we treat the environment, for example, is already causing wide-scale weather pattern disruption, which is far more disruptive than any city protest. What about Jesus? Jesus, of course, famously drove the moneylenders out of the temple in Jerusalem. And some of the other activities going on in that temple were really important to the faithful people there. Yet he thought it was appropriate to cause significant disruption in the face of injustice. I think we do have to respect others. We've always got to remember that. And the way protests are done and the way protesters are treated also says a lot about our society. Now, Martin Luther King, he was regarded as a terrorist by some in his time, yet he protested peacefully and he helped change the laws on discriminatory laws, clearly contrary to God's law. But going back to Father Martin Newell again, he says, there's a quote, that there will never be peace as long as we're only prepared to strive for it with half a life or half a heart. I hope that in some form or other, all of us will be able to look back on this time and know that as Christians, we did what was right for the environment and our children, our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. I might not be burning my bra, but I do know if we don't act now, my bra, along with all of us, will be burning anyway.